Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Unfortunately, this is another story coming out of my state, my good old state. California. And I heard about the one victim. However, I did not realize there were two victims involved in this. Hey Danielle. Hey Danielle. And I'm disturbed. I'm really disturbed by this, especially because it has been allegedly undercover. They were not trying to disclose what happened to these women, apparently. And of course, based on looking at the pictures, these are two Black women, or one, I know definitely, I believe she's a biracial woman, but half Black. And it's really making me wonder if they were of another race. Would there be a little bit more media coverage on this, and there would have been more of an uproar on this. So this is definitely something that I wanted to discuss, so we could definitely talk about this. But in California, okay, there is this actual prison called Mule Creek State Prison, okay? And so what happened was, one woman that has been in the news recently, Stephanie Dowles, okay? She is the woman that has the gray hair. She actually was unalived back in November of last year, okay, by her husband, who is serving a life sentence, okay? I will just say she was unalive based on some neck action, if you know what I mean. Okay. So yeah, she was unalive during a conjugal visit. Okay. All right. Let's understand. I didn't even know that could even be possible. Hey T Pretty, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. I didn't even know it was possible, but yes, apparently they still can have those visits. Okay. Now, we start off with her story. Okay. In November, she was actually visiting her husband at this prison. Okay. And next thing you know, they were spending the night. It was an overnight visit. And literally, next thing you know, I guess he actually, the suspect, the husband, the unaliver, allegedly actually called and said that she was no longer breathing. Next thing you know, they checked in on her and she was no longer breathing. And definitely they did an investigation. And it appears to me that once the family wanted to do a private autopsy and a private investigation, that's when they wanted to disclose that she was actually unalive based off of neck action. Okay. So that's definitely the first thing that we're talking about with Stephanie. She was 62 years old and she was married to David Brinson, 54, who was convicted of unaliving four men during a robbery back in the 90s. Okay. He was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without parole. Why in the hell can he even have those type of visits? Who the hell knows? The stupid laws, unfortunately, some of the laws we have out here are just downright stupid and ignorant as hell. And honestly, I hope these families sue the hell out of the damn state prison. I hope they sue the hell out of California. So he called and they found her. And based on what I'm seeing, they was trying to cover it up. Okay, they were trying to cover it up. The family, I'm going to show clips of the family speaking. But interesting enough, when they were investigating this story, they found out that 4 months prior, Tania Thomas, 47 years old, was also unalived based off of neck action, no longer could breathe, when she was visiting her husband in July of 2024 at the same prison. Okay. Her husband, named Anthony Curry, who was also serving a life sentence for attempted second-degree unaliving. Okay. So this, I'm pissed off because, again, it just really makes me wonder if these women would have been definitely, you know what I'm saying, like other races, would there have been more of an uproar? This would have been something that would have been out there. Why are we just now hearing about this? Here it is in March, and November is when Stephanie was unalived, and then Tania was unalived back in July of last year. Why are we just now hearing about this? This is ridiculous at this point. So I'm going to play it. Definitely wanted to make sure until I hit the 7-minute mark, child, because there's definitely going to be a couple of things. This is trigger, you guys. Hey, Daisy, trigger warning, okay? Letting you guys know now. I'm going to play some of these clips so we can definitely get the background information. It's probably going to piss you off even more because from my understanding, one of these gentlemen still has not been convicted or at least been charged, which again is pissing me off even more. But with that being said, fair use. This is for educational purposes only. Again, trigger warning for those who are kind of sensitive with these type of topics, because I am definitely about to play it. Okay, so fair use and educational purpose, trigger warning. Give me 1 second. Yeah, you guys, this is just like ridiculous at this point. So here we go. All right.
Questions about a killer, a man sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, but allowed to have unsupervised family visits. And one of those visits, his wife ends up dead.
Your reporter Madison Keevy has the woman's family's plea to the prison make changes and give them answers.
Love their grandchildren more than anything. And that's what hurts the most, is because we got some that's about 3 years old. They don't know, what's going on. It's hard to explain that to them.
Stephanie Brinson wore many hats: grandmother, mom, a volunteer who gave back to her community.
It really hurt. She was a very loving person to a fault. She didn't care what your past was. She saw the good in everybody.
Stephanie died during an overnight family visit at Mule Creek State Prison. She was there visiting her husband, David Brinson, sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole for killing 4 men in a Los Angeles robbery in 1994.
She liked this guy and she trusted him. And, unfortunately, it was her demise.
According to the Amador County Sheriff's and CDCR, at some point in the middle of the night during their November visit, Brinson called the prison staff to say Stephanie passed out. 2 weeks later, her family was told something seemed suspicious about the case.
Kind of suspected it was something weird going on because she was healthy.
Her children's fears realized. The Amador County coroner ruled it a homicide. Stephanie was strangled.
It's a very frustrating role because we know it was just him and her in the room, nobody else. No supervision, no phones. They take her phone, they take all her belongings. So what hope does she have to, her life is in his hands at that point.
Her children want answers. Why an inmate with a violent history was allowed to have unsupervised visits at all? We took those questions to CDCR. They say protocol is that visits are determined by conduct while incarcerated, not convictions, unless an inmate has suspended privileges due to disciplinary actions, are on death row, or are convicted for sex offenses.
We just want answers. What could be done, and not even just for the sake of my mom, but for the future, for somebody else's mom, somebody else's wife.
Trying to make a change. There are no charges for Stephanie's death, and Brinson has not been named as a suspect. He has been moved, however, to a facility in Stockton.
Questions about a...
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? He hasn't been convicted. Did you guys just hear that? Yeah. Help me understand how that is even possible. How is it that they have ruled her actual passing as someone unaliving her and he hasn't been charged? In what world is that even allowed? Hell, to be quite honest, in what world is it even allowed? The fact that they're saying that they do not base off of who gets those visits based off of the conviction, but based off of the discipline, I guess the discipline action that they either have or do not have while they're in prison. I'm sorry, but there should definitely be a law that if you are in prison for unaliving someone, you don't get those visits. Period. How is it that you can sit up there and remove it from people who have a freaky tales type of conviction, but not someone who will unalive someone? No security around. They just said she couldn't have her phone or anything. So even if she was trying to scream for help or call for help, she couldn't even do it. This makes no sense at all whatsoever. And so they just removed him to another facility, but he's not being charged. Not just answers, lawsuit. Lawsuit. That would be the only way. Like prayers to the families, because you can't get your loved one back, but to hear this is maddening. This is like insane. That literally they're like, oh, we're just gonna move him, but he hasn't been charged. But we do know that she was definitely unalived. And this is just now coming out now, you guys. But again, with them doing this investigation, they ended up finding out that I believe it was July 1st of last year, 4 months prior, there was another woman who actually had the same thing happen to her. You can't make this up. Like, you really can't make this up. It's ridiculous that this happened at the same prison, the same way to both women, and we're just now finding out. I really hope that there are a lot of like activists and people like that who get involved in this, because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So I'm going to play you guys the other video. Again, fair use, educational purposes only, and again, trigger warning, because there are going to be some trigger words that are going to come up. So let's look at this also, you guys, and let me know if you guys can hear it just like the other one. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Hold on, you guys can't hear? Who? Okay, so 2 people are saying they couldn't hear it. You guys can't hear it? Okay. I heard it. Okay, let me put a 1 in the chat if you guys could. Did you guys hear the first video? Okay, you guys let me know because I'll replay it. Did you guys hear the first video? Put a 1 in the chat if you heard the first video. Okay, so you heard the first video, but this video, you're saying you can't hear it because I can hear it. Okay, so you're saying you could not hear this one? All right, let me play it again. I don't know what's going on, but let me play it again because I was able to hear it just fine. Let me see. I hope they're not because of like the actual topic of it, they're not muting it, but let me check and see. If not, I may have to. Let me try it again. Okay, you guys, hold on real quick. Okay, let me go back here. Let's see. But you guys did hear the first one. So let me see. Let me try it again. And then, all right. So let's see. I can hear it just fine. That's the crazy part about it. So let me actually replay it. Let me okay. Let me see. Okay, so let me try this one more time, you guys. If not, then I'll just have to play it on my phone because I want you guys to actually hear it and see it as well. But again, you guys know how sometimes YouTube be tripping. All right, so let's see. Okay. Let me share. All right, let's try this one more time.
KCRA 3 exclusive investigation. We reported first last week the November death of a woman at Mule Creek State Prison during a conjugal visit with her husband was ruled a homicide. And now we're learning another woman was also murdered during a visit.
What about now? Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Were you able to hear that? Let me know. Let me know if you guys really quick, if you guys could hear it. Okay, so you heard it? All right, perfect. All right, so I'm going to play it. Okay, perfect. All right, so here we go.
Visit with her husband at the same prison a few months before that. Both deadly incidents taking place at the Mule Creek State Prison in Ione. That's in Amador County. KCRA 3 investigates. Lizzie Mitri spoke exclusively with that woman's family.
Curtis, this family saw our investigation last week after the murder of 62-year-old Stephanie Dowles, and they said they felt compelled to come forward with their story.
We were born and raised in San Francisco. We were raised by our grandparents. And this is just a little collage of her life.
Janine Rojo and her cousin weren't just close in age.
We've literally been together since birth.
They did everything together until July 1st, when everything changed.
It's just tragic what happened.
Her cousin, a single mother of one, died.
Tanya Vanessa Corpus Thomas, she was 47 years old.
She says Thomas spent more than half her life battling lupus, but the family learned the disease is not what killed her.
For her to be taken away this way, it's gut-wrenching.
The Amador County District Attorney tells KCRA 3 investigates Thomas's husband, 48-year-old Anthony Curry, is charged with her murder.
Oh, it hit my gut.
He's accused of strangling Thomas during a conjugal visit at Mule Creek State Prison. Court records show Curry was already serving time in prison for a conviction of attempted murder following the 1999 shooting of his 19-year-old girlfriend at the time.
He shot a girl in the head and dumped her body, so he left her body for dead.
She was found at a remote truck stop in Richmond, barely alive. A gunshot wound to the head left her permanently blind and partially paralyzed.
He's a violent person.
Rojo says she had no idea her cousin even had conjugal visits with him.
With that history of severe violence, why are they being allowed to have these visits unsupervised?
It's something she kept to herself until she saw the story on the November death of 62-year-old Stephanie Dowles.
4 months after a woman died while visiting an inmate at Mule Creek State Prison, we've learned her death is now deemed a homicide.
Another woman killed at Mule Creek State Prison during a conjugal visit with her husband, a 4-time convicted murderer.
I was sick to my stomach and I was in tears.
She could no longer stay silent.
I'm not against conjugal visits. However, there's already 2 murders at Mule Creek. What can be done to prevent this from happening again? Maybe put more prison guards out to do more safety checks, to anything to save another life.
The CDCR website shows inmates can't have conjugal visits if they're on death row, convicted of sex offenses if they're going through the reception process upon arrival to a prison, or if they have disciplinary restrictions. But there is no mention of violent crime convictions. CDCR says inmates have to apply and meet strict criteria to earn the privilege of family visits. And they say these visits are meant to support family connection and rehabilitation.
Okay, so a lot of people would say 1 murder is too many, 2 murders, way too many. What security measures are in place to protect people who are there visiting?
Right, we had to go through their manual to see what do they do, how do they make sure people are safe. What we could find is inmates have to present themselves for a count at least 4 times in 24 hours, and the prison can order unscheduled inspections, but otherwise the manual really highlights that they try to ensure the inmate's privacy.
But we know about a second case because the family came forward. How many other cases are there that we don't know about?
Right. And we have asked the corrections department and they responded to our inquiry, answering everything except for that question. So we followed up and we are hoping to hear back from them soon.
All right, Lizzie, thank you. And while
did you guys hear that? This is heartbreaking, but it is pissing me off. The only reason why we know about Tania is because her cousin decided to reach out to the news. If she didn't, we wouldn't know anything. Okay? We would know nothing. And the fact that the news reporters, the investigators are asking them, how many others are there? How many? Is it just this 2? Or are there more? And they refuse to apparently answer the question. This is scary. And this is just one prison. Let's not even talk about other prisons that are out there that could be hiding this type of information as well, because they don't want to face people getting fired or lawsuits. Because please believe, when you're dealing with this type of negligence, you're definitely going to have people who are going to get fired and there's going to be lawsuits. Scary. This is unbelievable, and they still won't answer the question. I hope they stay on their neck and they continue this investigation, and I hope if there are other families that they step forward. I really do. And it's also making me wonder if there were families who were told that someone passed and it wasn't an unaliving and they just passed of natural causes, and they never decided to do some type of investigation on their own. Because based on what I was reading, Stephanie, the 62-year-old, the reason why they actually did an investigation, or they were like, she's healthy, so they decided to do an investigation and say, wait a minute now, she was healthy, what was going on here? And I think because they decided to ask questions. Hey, Lounge. Hey. They decided to ask questions about what the hell was going on and decided to get involved and kind of do their own investigation. That's when they decided to apparently say, oh, this is what happened to her. See, this happened in November, but literally they're just now finding out 4 months later that she was unalive. I call bullshit. They wanted to, in my opinion, they wanted to sweep this under the rug. If that man said during the night that she is no longer breathing, and you come to where they are, and you know what he's capable of considering his history, that should have been an automatic situation, and it shouldn't have taken 4 months. They didn't want it to come out. That's what it is. They didn't want it to come out. And if it wasn't for that other family, I'm nervous to hear if we have other people who randomly was told that their loved one is no longer with us because of natural causes. And that includes possibly inmates in that facility as well. Let's just keep it real. It could be inmates, and people think that they were unalive or they passed from natural causes, and the reality is that's not the case. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way in. This at this point, I really want them to do a thorough investigation. I'm going to stay on this because this is ridiculous. And again, the fact that these women are melanated, it really makes me wonder. I just feel like if they would have been any other race, would we have heard about this months ago? And it's sad that literally the cousin had to see that the same thing happened to a 62-year-old woman for her to step forward and say, yeah, this happened to my cousin too. This happened to my cousin. So, and they're not answering the question on how many more could there be. I think they need to do a deep investigation, not only on this prison, but all of the California prisons at this point. I think they really need to. Yes, thank you, Lounge. I appreciate you. Yes, you guys hit the like button. This is scary. This is scary. You know what's so interesting is not, well, I hate what I say interesting, but that's just kind of a word I constantly use. It's been a lot of mysterious, like, I don't know if it's just me or maybe because, of course, this stuff is popping up in the algorithm, because you guys know, for those who know, I like, true crime stories and different things like that. But I just feel like a lot of people have mysteriously been missing or passing lately. It's some weird demonic energy going on lately, like a lot. And it's crazy to me that, I have a feeling we're going to find out a lot about these type of stories, and things are going to start surfacing more and more. Because like literally there was just a story about the twins that, were unalive. It's just been a lot going on. So now we have this situation, but they were under the supervision of the California State Prison. It's starting to make me wonder what's going on with y'all COs. What are they doing? What are they doing? You know what I mean? Like what's going on here? So I think they need to do an investigation. I think they need to do a psychiatric evaluation on their COs too. Or what are their COs doing where they're just trying to ignore these things? Or, but the fact that they said, oh, we try to give them their privacy. Since when do people who are in prison, since when should they be granted privacy? Y'all don't even allow them to take a shower in private, use the bathroom in private. But now you're sitting up there saying with their significant other, they can have privacy. Like, I thought the whole purpose of prison, especially when you're dealing with people who have a life sentence, I thought the whole purpose is because they did something so horribly that they're not allowed to do that, especially when you have attempted unaliving and you actually unalived someone. The laws have to be changed at this point. And I think with the proper lawsuits, because that's typically when California moves, when there's a lawsuit that's involved and millions on top of millions of dollars have to be dished out, that's when they want to start changing the laws. So yeah, and I really hope I hope we don't have more victims like this, but if we do, I hope they come out. And I hope there's someone out there who has the means to do a proper investigation on all of the people that they claim have been unalived or mysteriously passed in the prison system. They need to check it out. They do, you guys. But I want to know what you guys think about this. This is insane to me. So sad. So sad. Like, we watch these shows, Love After Lockup, Love During Lockup. This is a whole nother beast. This is a whole nother beast of a situation where I don't know. I just, look, I think everybody wants love. Everybody wants love. But there is just certain places that, I'm sorry, and certain convictions that we should never just look that way. And I know, especially as women, we have forgiving hearts and we think that people can change. But in this situation, like, I feel for their families. I feel for their families. I feel for their kids. I feel for their grandkids. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And I really hope that they continue to investigate this and we find out more information. And I hope that these families, they do a class action lawsuit, something, so then they can get, something for losing their family member, based off the negligence of California. That's just what it is. So yeah, you guys, let me see what you guys are saying. I know, T Pretty. This is ridiculous. Yeah, this is definitely one of those things, Lounge, where it's just like, this is not sitting well with me at all whatsoever. Hi, is it Liera S? If is that hi? How are you? Make sure you guys hit the like button. But so you guys were able to hear the second one, good, because I wanted you guys to hear both. Yeah, you heard about the one with the first. I heard about the first lady, but then when I heard that it was the same prison 4 months apart and there was another lady, I said, oh, hell no. This is a problem here. And they refused to answer the question. They refused to answer the question when they said, have there been other victims? They will not answer the question. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, this is it's supposed to be about protecting life and protecting people. And the fact that they don't want to answer that shows they trying to protect their money, their bag, more than they're protecting human life. And I got an issue with that. Hell yeah, I got an issue with that. These women don't have the complexion for protection. Exactly. Let's just keep it real here. And I got a crew members of all backgrounds, all races. And I love y'all all. But y'all also know I'm a Black woman who definitely understands that we, as Black women, we are not protected in that way. We're not. A lot of times we're thrown away, disregarded. And in this situation, how can we not look at this situation and say, unless they're going to come forward with more? We have two melanated women right here who was pretty much tossed aside. They knew exactly how they passed, and they completely just swept it under the rug. They swept it under the rug. And I can't even imagine people who don't have the financial, or not even the financial, maybe the education, but also financially, they can't do their own private investigation. You know what I mean? Like, and they're just thinking they believe the state. They believe the system because they think the system or the state wouldn't lie to their asses. You know what I mean? So this is definitely one of those things where I really hope they get justice. I really hope they get justice. You have people now, you have both of them were mothers. They no longer have their mothers. One definitely had grandkids. They no longer have their grandmother. based on these two psychos who should have never been allowed to have these visits in the first place. They should have never allowed to have these visits in the first place. So yeah, now when you hit people's pockets, that's when they start to listen. So I am hoping that they stay on them. Celebrities, Black celebrities that can really put their actual attention on this. And so then that way we can continue to have an investigation on this. By all means, this is when they really need to step forward. And I really hope that more and more content creators talk about this because we need answers. We need some damn answers to this. And the fact that this idiot, the freaking, not Anthony Curry has been charged for Tania's unaliving, but that David Brinson, they said he hasn't been charged. I got a big problem with that. Why hasn't he been charged and he was just moved? That makes no sense to me. And they know she was unalived. So yeah, definitely need some answers on this. And this is like not that far. This is in, I think they said Ione, California. That's, I think, around close to like the Sacramento area. Yeah, they definitely need to do a huge investigation and they need to kind of look at their COs and see what the hell is going on. This sounds like some Oz shit. Y'all remember that show Oz? Yeah, this sounds like they got some corrupt COs in my personal opinion, but that's my opinion on the situation. But with that being said, you guys, I wanted to bring this to you guys' attention. I want us to continue the conversation. By all means, spread the word because these type of stories are stories that we really need to get out. When you have more and more people talking about it, you keep your foot on their damn necks. Because this is what we need to get the answers. And these two women, their families, they deserve justice and they deserve answers. So with that being said, you guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.